I definitely believe those people who say that, the messier the workspace, the higher your IQ, because that's totally accurate. And if you think it's not, I disagree with you. And I've just learned that I'm capable of doing things that I didn't think I was really good at and wasn't capable of doing. But with the right attention and with the right motivation, I am capable of doing those things. As an entrepreneur, I fail all the time. And just because I fail doesn't mean I am a failure. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Cheer Biz Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Cotton, owner of Oregon Dream Teams in Beaverton, Oregon, owner and founder of Dream Camps, and co-owner of Next Generation Gym Owners, where we consult cheerleading gym owners across the United States, Canada, Australia, the UK, all over. That is me, and I am here to talk to you about my biggest lessons learned in business in 2024. Now, before we get into the episode, please go over to Cheer Gym Owners on Facebook and make sure you are in that group, and All-Star Cheer coaches and owners as well. And otherwise, make sure you're following all of our social media, to include YouTube. If you listen to this podcast and you want to see my beautiful face while you listen, subscribe to us on YouTube. It helps the algorithm and helps our content get in front of more people just like you. Now, I already told you a little bit about my business background. I own 3 different companies. I co-own Oregon Dream Teams with my lovely wife, Tori. I am the owner and founder of Dream Camps, of which I have a large number of employees that work for me through the summers teaching cheerleading camps. And I am one of the owners of Next Generation Gym Owners, where I get the opportunity to work with amazing gym owners across the world in this amazing sport. So I've been doing a lot in business over the last 2 years. For those of you who followed my story for a little bit, I was a police officer for 15 years full time while also running my companies. And then I made the leap 2 years ago to full-time entrepreneurship. And I am here. I am alive and kicking and thriving. And 2024 was my first full year of being a business owner and not having any other job. And these are my biggest lessons learned, biggest takeaways, and maybe even a bonus one at the end. So, number one, my first one, biggest lesson learned: writing books is hard. Now, I say this as a shameless plug of my book is releasing in January. It is called Charge What You're Worth. It is the Cheer Pricing Handbook, how to build pricing in your cheerleading gym and how to raise the value in your gym. So not only can you charge what you're worth, but people will see that worth and be willing to pay it. I'm super excited for it to come out. It has been a long labor of love putting together. It's gone through multiple edits. I actually embarked on essentially reworking the whole thing in August this year. I reread it and I was like, yuck, it doesn't have the feel I wanted it to have. And it was hard. It went through 3 different editors. One of them modified it a little more than I wanted them to. And then I got feedback from Danielle, who has editing experience and has already released a book with Next Generation Gym Owners. And then it went through another edit process. And man, it's hard. It's really, really hard. And in fact, when I'm done recording this episode and the next episode after it, I am going to be reading chapters. It's a lot of work. And so what started out as like, oh, I can do that. That sounds fun and not easy, but like fun, not hard, turned out to be, man, it was a hard process. Very, very worth it. I'm super excited for it to release. I am hoping many of you pick it up. I have a personal goal of selling 1,500 copies or having 1,500 copies get out there between Audible and print. So I hope you check it out. If you're a gym owner or you're a coach or you're an aspiring gym owner someday, check it out. There is some really, really good stuff. I spent a lot of time putting together what I think is a great process for you to be able to build a successful cheer gym. And everything I'm talking about are the things that I'm using in my gym and in all my companies when it comes to pricing. I use a lot of the strategies in there in terms of how to price and also how to build value for my clients. So that was a huge lesson learned. So if you're thinking about, man, I could write a book. It's fun, it's rewarding, it's amazing, but man, is it hard. Number 2 is that I am capable of more than I realized. I have always felt that I could do big things. I've always probably had a very self-confident demeanor and always been fairly convinced that I was capable of doing stuff, but I learned that I was capable of more. And what I mean by that is I'm capable of doing things that I'm not good at and I don't enjoy. So for instance, I hate Trello. I don't enjoy it at all. But in my role as COO for NextGen, I've really had to learn to utilize Trello and utilize that as a tracking tool. I'm not a big organization person. Although if you're watching this on YouTube, you see this desk and all it has on it is a mouse and a computer and some other things, but it's not messy. If you look at my desk at home where I'm working, it is there's papers, there's coffee cups over here, there's all this stuff. I don't keep a super clean workspace. And I definitely believe those people who say that, the messier the workspace, the higher your IQ, because that's totally accurate. And if you think it's not, I disagree with you, but I have trouble with keeping things organized. I can do it for a short period of time, but that super attention to detail is not my forte. I'm much more creative than that. And I've learned that I'm capable of giving that attention to detail, even if it doesn't come naturally to me. I can do those hard things as long as I know the why, as long as I believe in why I'm doing that hard thing. And that comes a lot easier when I'm involved in companies and involved in efforts that I truly believe in. And that's, I think, what it all comes down to is having the right motivation. So I obviously believe in my gym and our values and my athletes and my parents and my staff. And I very much believe in what I'm building with Dream Camps. And so those long hours are worth it. And I super believe in what we do with NextGen. In fact, it's what I wake up and spend most of my time doing because I am so passionate about the opportunity to help gym owners and help people get to a point where their gym is helping make them money and they're not struggling to get by. It is one of those things that it almost gives me the same feeling helping a gym owner in crisis as it does when I was responding as a police officer to critical emergencies and helping people in those worst moments of their life. It feels very similar to that. And so it's something I really believe in. And I've just learned that I'm capable of doing things that I didn't think I was really good at and wasn't capable of doing. But with the right attention and with the right motivation, I am capable of doing those things. The next thing is that feelings are not real. That sounds weird, right? But a feeling is just that. It's just a feeling. It's not reality. Even though I have that confident demeanor and confident exterior, I actually have a lot of self-doubt sometimes. And so this summer, I'll use as an example, Dream Camps had expanded. We were offering an Oregon, Florida, and a Missouri location. And Missouri was new. We had Oregon and Florida again, but every location was new. So Oregon, we'd been at the same location for 8 years, and then we had to switch. Actually, we'd been there for 10 years, and then we were switching. And then Missouri was a new location completely. And then Florida we'd been in Florida before, but our location fell through. We had to go to a new space. So I was in 3 new locations. Midway through the summer, I realized that I had overspent in buying equipment for the new locations. I wanted to have a equipment footprint. So I bought equipment, I bought a floor, I bought these things, and I'd overextended and overspent on some stuff, and that I'd messed up on the finances and things were not going to be where I wanted them to be. Now, when I say messed up, I didn't do anything unethical. It just, there was a point in time, it was Father's Day. I was on a plane and I pulled up what the university that I was at in Oregon was saying we were going to owe. And I was looking at the invoices that we had outstanding and some other things. And I literally was I had a borderline panic attack. It wasn't truly a panic attack. I don't have those, but I really freaked out. And I was like, oh my God, I messed up. I'm a failure. And that feeling of failure stuck with me through the whole summer. It was not my favorite summer from that perspective, even though it was a great summer. It was super successful. The camps went great. My staff was amazing. I really can't complain, but I felt like I was a failure. And because I felt like I was a failure, I let myself think that I was a failure. In reality, I wasn't. I was not at all. It wasn't until I was able to kind of remove myself from that I was able to realize those feelings aren't reality. I did not fail. Okay, I maybe made a bad move on the front end over purchasing things that I maybe could have rented. I was on the whole, I don't want to finance anything. I just want to buy it outright. So I made an error on that, but that doesn't mean I'm a failure. I built this company. I've now got these 60 employees in 3 locations, now a 4th. I've got all these things going on. That's not failure. And in fact, as an entrepreneur, I fail all the time. And just because I failed doesn't mean I am a failure. I'm just lucky that many of my failures no one knows about. Like I would bet most of you have never heard that or never would have thought that I made that error in like my budgeting side of dream camps to be like, oops, that was an error. Now, are we fine? Yep, totally fine. Figured it out. No problem. Made money other ways, like really booked out some other things and like got everything squared away and like we're good. But that feeling of failure doesn't mean that I'm a failure. And I think that's what I mean by feelings don't equal reality. Feelings are not real. Are your feelings real? Like, yes, you're really feeling them, but they aren't reality. And then by sitting back and acknowledging, hey, I'm feeling this thing, but that does not mean I am that thing. That helps me get into the right mindset. So that was a big lesson learned for me. Next is I don't have to apologize for my prices. Now, I think I realized this in a couple different ways. Obviously, writing the book, I realized that. And then as I just have been in my different companies, I've noticed that people sometimes have a tendency to want to apologize and say, oh yeah, I know it seems like a lot or this, that, or the other thing. And I've just realized I don't need to apologize about charging what I am worth and what kind of value I know that my companies bring to people's lives. I just don't need to apologize for that. When I go buy a car, like the car company is not apologizing to me for the price. My power company isn't ever sending me an I'm sorry we're charging you, or my gas or those things, right? Because I know the value. I need power. And so I just think that I've learned that I don't need to apologize or be apologetic for what I charge. I charge what I charge because that's what the value is. I'm confident in that. And that was a huge lesson learned in 2024. I think it was really where I became truly confident in what I'm doing and realizing I don't need to apologize for that. A perfect example is I had someone email me just the other day and ask if we do scholarships for camp. Always surprised at how many people ask if we have scholarships for a summer cheerleading camp. And I just responded, no, our prices are very competitive and we do offer a coupon and you can pay it off over time. And that's it. I didn't apologize. I didn't say, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. We aren't able to offer that. Like, no, I don't need to apologize. I don't need to be sorry for not being able to do that. What I love to be able to have someone just gift me all that money so I can allow amazing cheerleaders who don't have the financial means to come to camp. Yeah, I'd love that. That'd be amazing. But at the end of the day, I'm a for-profit entity. I'm trying to provide for my family. I'm trying to build a better life for my family as well as for my staff. I can't do that if I don't make revenue. Next is that sales is a superpower. I have become borderline obsessed with sales and selling and convincing and doing that. I just think it's super fun. And I've talked about it on other episodes. And I think if you can be a great salesperson, like you are unstoppable. You will never be poor a day in your life if you learn how to sell. I just think it is a fantastic superpower. And if you can learn how to sell and convince people, it's just a really, really awesome skill set and oftentimes neglected in this industry. The next lesson is that the biggest results come from the least sexy stuff. So there is a lot of things that need to happen in business that are not sexy at all. They're not fun. They're not exciting. And it comes from doing the not super sexy things over and over and over again and building those things out to then get to the great results. And what I mean by that is having a meeting with employees is not sexy. It's valuable. It's incredibly valuable. It's where you're going to get your best return by training up your people or writing systems. Writing systems is not sexy. I hate doing it. It's not sexy, but it's incredibly valuable because this isn't related to cheerleading, but if you can write a recipe and a process for baking the perfect cookie, and it is something that anyone could be trained on and follow, then you can increase your ability to produce your cookie, your perfect cookie, and sell it exponentially. You can teach it to 10,000 people and have them all making that cookie and then selling it on your behalf. So those systems and those processes increase your output, but that's not sexy. It's not fun. It's not the cool stuff. And when I mean sexy, like in Cheer, sexy is the coaching part, right? That's the fun stuff, is getting out there and like teaching the flips and doing that stuff. And that is not necessarily where the biggest gains are made from a business perspective. Next note is to never, ever, ever, ever give up. If you don't give up, you can't lose. You just have to out-sustain. And I didn't necessarily learn this year, but again, it was just reconfirmed. Going back to my example from the summer, 110%, I was so emotionally exhausted, so mentally exhausted from the stress of that, plus not taking any days off and taking any time off, that if you had asked me on August 16th, when we closed our Florida camp, if I planned to do any camps in the future, I would have said yes. But if you asked me and you got a real response, I would have said, I don't want to. It was just because I was just at that point, which I know some of you are like, Dan, you get to that point? Yeah, I do. Now, granted, I had been coaching from June 2nd to August 16th with really no days off. And at that time, I didn't know it. I was feeling under the weather, but I had COVID. So I was like, I was pretty beat up and tired. And so that feeling didn't last very long. But if I had given up, I never would have then I would have lost. And just don't give up. Just don't quit. No matter what, you just pivot. You just keep fighting. That is what life is. That what is business is. You just have to keep pushing and keep going. My next lesson is, even when you are in the right, this was a very 2024 lesson, even when you're in the right, being told someone might sue you is really stressful. So this also happened during the summer. I received a notice from a company that will remain nameless that they felt that me expressing my opinion in a public setting that was video recorded was negative towards their company. They did not have a positive view of it. They let me know that they might be seeking damages. And although I knew that, one, I didn't feel bad about anything I said, I felt that I was honest with my thoughts. And I always try to be very honest. And I do try to be particular with my words. I don't know that I was super particular in this moment. Sometimes I get in the vibe of teaching and talking to people, and I sometimes am a little bit boisterous. In that sense, I was not super strategic in my word choice, but I don't think I said anything wrong. That is how I felt and feel. And I'm not going to go into what I said, but I will say that it was stressful. It was really, really stressful. Cost money quite a bit in attorney fees and things like that to go back, do the back and forth and letters and all that jazz. It's just stressful. It's not a lot of fun, and I didn't enjoy it. And that was a lesson learned. That was actually only the second time that I've ever had like papers like that of a notice of potential. So the way it works is and if you listen to the episode with Matt Becker, they send out a notice of a cease and desist, hey, stop doing this. We might sue you if you don't. Even just that, knowing what I know about the legal process, it's still stressful. So it's not fun. And I would like to avoid being in that position in the future, although I will continue to speak what I know to be accurate in the world. Unfortunately, we live in a litigious society. So that possibility still exists, but gosh, it's not fun for anyone. Next lesson I learned is to surround yourself with giants. I've talked about imposter syndrome and how I overcome it and things like that. I have had the opportunity to be in rooms this year with people that I've looked up to as business owners outside of Cheer, people that I've listened to on podcasts, people who are huge in the business entrepreneurship world. And I've had the opportunity to be in rooms with them, shake hands with them, learn from them. That just makes me better. I will do anything I can to surround myself with people like that. I would rather be the smallest person in the room and trying to push my way up to be at their level than be the top person in the room, the most successful and all that. And then that's not going to elevate my game. I like being that little person and surrounded by those giants. I think that just forces me in the mindset of, how do I get better? I know some people might not appreciate that. Some people are they would almost find it discouraging. I find it motivating. I'm like, man, you exited your company for this many millions of dollars. Okay, how do I do that? How do I get to that? And that excites me. Next biggest lesson learned is your employees are your lifeline. You need your employees if you have the right ones. They can be your biggest lifeline, your biggest success. They can also be your biggest hindrance. That wasn't a lesson learned this year, though. I've learned that in previous years. My staff now are amazing human beings, and I am so grateful for them. And I talked about it in my thankfulness episode. My last 2024 biggest lesson learned is, why not? Why not? And you're going to sit there and go, what are you talking about, Dan? I want to make $2 million I want my gym to bring in $2 million next year. It's a crazy goal. Why not? Why not me? Why not you? Why can't you do it? And I use this as a coach too. My world's team we've never made podium. We've never made top 3. Why not? Like, why can't that be us? There are choices that we make that make it so, but like, there's no other reason. So why not me? Why not now? Why not my company? Why not my business? And if I can start to say why not and realize that all of those why nots are either factual things that I can correct or BS, then I can then proceed to poke holes in all the BS and I can solve all the things that are actually problems. And that's how you get to be where you want to be as a business owner and continuing to grow. So that wraps it up. Those are my biggest lessons learned in 2024. I hope you got something out of them. I certainly hope it didn't feel like I was just sitting here bragging, although I think there was some braggadociousness. I didn't mean it to be, but it was a positive year. And I feel even more invigorated to be an entrepreneur than I ever have in my life. It is so exciting. That's business lesson number whatever. Man, being an entrepreneur is fun. It is exciting. Every day is different. Every day is a challenge. You literally have limitless possibilities. So don't give up. Never quit. And why not you? All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the episode. As always, thank you for joining me. And with that, we'll catch you on the next one.